The bankruptcy of the inductive escape hatch. When the atheist says, induction may not be fully justifiable, but it is practically inescapable, they are making a dangerous concession. They are openly admitting that their foundation for reasoning is unjustifiable, but insisting that they must use it anyway. This is not an argument. It is intellectual surrender. The phrase, practically inescapable, is an attempt to avoid the critical issue. If induction is not justifiable, then you have no rational right to use it. Saying, I have to use it anyway, is not an argument for its validity. It is simply a confession that without it, your entire worldview collapses. But you cannot escape this collapse by sheer insistence. You cannot say, I need it, so I will take it without justification. That is equivalent to philosophical theft. The only reason the atheist clings to induction, while admitting they cannot justify it, is because they are borrowing from the Christian worldview where induction is justified. In the biblical worldview, there is an unchanging God who orders creation and sustains its consistency. Genesis 8:22, Colossians 1:17, Hebrews 1:3. Inductive reasoning is reliable because God is faithful and the structure of creation reflects his order. Without that presupposition, induction is nothing but blind faith in randomness. The atheist is forced to live as though the Christian God exists, expecting uniformity, order, and causation, while denying the very foundation that makes those things possible. To claim that induction is practically inescapable is a veiled appeal to pragmatism. But pragmatism is not a truth test. Jumping out of a plane without a parachute is practically inescapable to your destruction. Just because something is necessary for survival doesn't mean it's justified. The atheist is pragmatically using induction because they must, but they cannot give a coherent, consistent reason why induction should work in their system. The Christian does not merely use induction because it works. We know why it works. God is the guarantor of the consistency of nature. The atheist cannot say this. In fact, in their worldview, the universe is a product of chance, and chance offers no grounds for expecting order tomorrow. On materialism, you can only say that the universe has so far been orderly, but there is no reason to assume it will continue that way. David Hume, the father of this problem in philosophy, rightly exposed the problem of induction. You cannot justify inductive reasoning without assuming the very principle you are trying to prove. The atheist is forced into vicious circularity. They rely on past experience to justify why future experience will be the same, but they can only trust past experience if they already assume that nature is uniform. Christians escape this circle because we do not base induction on past experience alone, we base it on the character and revelation of the God who upholds all things. To say, well, we can't justify it, but it's inescapable, is simply to admit defeat. It is to say, I am forced to live as though Christianity is true, but I will not give God credit. It is intellectual hypocrisy. The atheist's house is burning, but instead of fleeing to the solid foundation of God, they insist on sitting in the fire while claiming they are practically stuck there. They will use God's intellectual furniture, the expectation of order, the trust in reason, the reliance on induction, but they refuse to live in his house. It is not enough to use something if your worldview cannot account for it. You must be able to justify the tools you use. Christianity does. Atheism does not. Without God, induction is not just practically inescapable. It is utterly unjustified. Without God, you are left with blind faith in chaos. With God, you have a rational, coherent, and secure foundation for trusting the world you investigate. And deep down, the atheist knows this.